News of the First Armada's destruction reached Emperor Kethvar 3 days later. The alien ruler sat on his crystal throne and read the report over and over, unable to believe what he was seeing. 50,000 ships defeated by one human vessel. It was impossible. Admiral Velthar is lying, he told his advisors. No primitive race could destroy our greatest fleet. He must be covering up some mistake or betrayal. But deep in his mind, the Emperor felt a cold fear growing. Other reports were coming in from across the galaxy. The news of the battle was spreading to every world, every species that the Vorthak had conquered. And something terrible was happening. On the mining world of Kepler-7, the slave workers had stopped digging. They stood in their tunnels and whispered about the humans who had made the mighty Vorthak run away. The Vorthak guards tried to force them back to work, but for the first time in 1,000 years, the slaves refused. On the farming planet of New Harvest, the conquered people stopped sending food to the Vorthak worlds. They said if the Empire was strong enough to rule the galaxy, it was strong enough to grow its own food. Even on worlds that had been conquered for hundreds of years, people began to remember what freedom felt like. The Vorthak Empire had ruled through fear, but now that fear was broken. If humans could defeat the Vorthak, maybe others could too. Emperor Kethvar felt panic rising in his chest. He opened his mind to the great link that connected all Vorthak across the galaxy. What he felt there made him sick with worry, doubt, fear, questions about whether the Empire was really as strong as they had always believed. Bring me every ship we have, he ordered his generals. Every warship, every patrol vessel, every transport with weapons. I want 150,000 ships ready to destroy Earth completely. General Morgath, an old Vorthak warrior, hesitated. My Emperor, if we take ships from all our worlds, we will have no way to control the rebellions that are starting. The rebellions will stop when we show the galaxy what happens to those who resist us. The Emperor said coldly, we will turn Earth into a ball of fire. Every human will die. Then the other races will remember why they fear the Vorthak. But while the Emperor gathered his ships, Earth was not sitting idle. The victory against the First Armada had given humanity something it had never had before. Alien technology to study and time to prepare. Dr. Kang, Subin led teams of scientists in studying the wreckage from the battle. Pieces of Vorthak ships floated in space around Earth, and each piece taught the humans something new about their enemies. Look at this, she told Dr. Oda-un as they examined an alien computer. Their entire fleet is controlled by one central mind. Every ship takes orders from the flagship. If we can cut that connection, the fleet becomes confused and helpless, finished Dr. Oda-un. Just like we saw in the battle. When their admiral panicked, the whole fleet panicked with him. Meanwhile, deep under the Pacific Ocean, something amazing was happening. The construction bays that had built the Leviathan were busy again, but this time they were building many smaller ships. Chief Engineer Park Soo-jin watched as the first of the new ships took shape. They were smaller than the Leviathan, only 2 kilometers long, but they used the same impossible technology. Dimensional shields, quantum weapons, reality-bending drives. How many can we build? Asked Admiral Cho Min-seok as he toured the construction facility. 50 ships in 2 months, answered Park Soo-jin. Each one can destroy hundreds of normal alien ships. Captain Kim Dae-ho was training the crews for these new vessels. The best pilots, gunners, and engineers from every nation on Earth came to learn how to use humanity's new weapons. Captain Bae Jun-hyuk would command the Soul's Vengeance. Commander Yoon Hae-jin, who had survived both battles against the aliens, would pilot the Busan Rising. Remember, Kim told his new captains, these ships are powerful, but our real weapon is still the same thing that won the first battle. We think differently than they do. We are unpredictable. We are creative. And most importantly, we never give up. The aliens were not just facing 50 new human ships. They were facing something much more dangerous, hope. All across the galaxy, enslaved races were watching Earth and learning that the Vorthak could be beaten. On the industrial world of Forge Prime, the worker slaves had taken control of the weapons factories. Instead of making guns for the Vorthak, they were making weapons for themselves. The Vorthak garrison had been overwhelmed in a single day. The peaceful traders of the Zelani system had declared independence and were building their own fleet. The warrior clans of the Rough Nebula had united for the first time in their history to fight their Vorthak overlords. Emperor Kethvar felt his empire crumbling around him. but he refused to accept it. The great fleet he had assembled was the largest military force in galactic history. 150,000 warships, led by his most experienced generals, armed with the most powerful weapons the Vorthak had ever built. "This time will be different," he told his war council. "This time we will not underestimate the humans. We will destroy their planet and everything on it. Then we will hunt down every rebel in the galaxy and remind them why they should fear us." But when the massive Vorthak fleet arrived at Earth, they found something they did not expect. The humans were not hiding this time. 50 ships waited for them in formation near Earth's moon. Each ship glowed with the same strange energy that had powered the Leviathan. Admiral Zorketh, leading the new invasion fleet, studied the human ships through his sensors. They were smaller than the Leviathan but clearly built with the same technology. "Only 50 ships against our 150,000? He asked his officers. "Even with their strange weapons, how can so few defeat so many?" He was about to find out. Captain Kim Dae-ho stood on the bridge of the original Leviathan and looked at his fleet. 50 ships crewed by the bravest humans who had ever lived. Around them, alien warships stretched to the horizon like a metal forest. "All ships, this is Captain Kim," he said into his communication system. "Today we fight not just for Earth, but for every enslaved world in the galaxy. Today we show the universe that freedom is stronger than fear. All ships, attack!" The human fleet moved forward and the final battle for the galaxy began. The fight was swift and terrible. Human ships appeared and disappeared like ghosts, striking from impossible angles with weapons that bent reality itself. Captain Bae Jun-hyuk led his ship through folded space to attack the alien flagship from behind. Commander Yoon Hae-jin used temporal weapons to age entire squadrons of enemy ships into dust. The alien ships tried to surround the humans, but you cannot surround something that exists in multiple dimensions at once. The Vorthak fired everything they had, but most of their weapons passed through empty space where human ships had been a moment before. In 3 hours, the largest fleet in galactic history was destroyed. Admiral Zorketh watched his ships vanish one by one until only his flagship remained. Around him, his officers stared in shock at screens that showed empty space where their mighty armada had been. "Impossible," whispered one officer. "They were only 50 ships." "Surrender," said Admiral Zorketh quietly. "Send the surrender signal." It was the first time in 3,000 years that a Vorthak admiral had ever spoken that word. On Nexus Prime, Emperor Kethvar felt his empire die. Through the mind link, he experienced the defeat of his greatest fleet. He felt the fear and despair of his admirals. He felt the hope of 1 billion enslaved beings across the galaxy. Captain Kim Dae-ho's voice reached him across space, broadcast on every communication channel in the galaxy. "People of the galaxy," Kim said, "the Vorthak Empire is finished. You are free. We did not come to rule you as the Vorthak did. We came to show you that freedom is possible. Build your own governments. Make your own choices. Live your own lives. And if anyone tries to enslave you again, remember today. Remember that even the mightiest empire can fall when free people stand together." Emperor Kethvar sat alone on his crystal throne as his palace emptied around him. His guards had fled. His advisors had abandoned him. Even his own people were questioning whether he deserved to rule. The galaxy had learned something new. It had learned that human creativity and human courage could overcome any enemy, no matter how powerful. The age of the Vorthak was over. The age of freedom had begun. And it all started with one ship rising from the depths of Earth's ocean, crewed by people who refused to surrender and armed with weapons built from human dreams. The Pacific Ocean began to glow with a strange blue light. The water started to bubble and steam as something huge moved far below the surface. On his flagship high above, Admiral Velthar noticed the light through his sensors. "What is that?" he asked his officers. Commander Zekthor looked at his screens with confusion. "Some kind of energy source under the water. It is very large, but our sensors cannot tell what it is." The glow grew brighter. The ocean water began to move in giant circles as something enormous pushed upward from the deep. Waves spread out in all directions. As the thing below grew closer to the surface, then, the Leviathan broke through the water like an ancient sea monster, awakening from 1,000-year sleep. The ship was like nothing anyone had ever seen. It was 10 kilometers long and covered in smooth armor that seemed to bend light around it. Strange energy patterns ran along its hull like glowing veins. Parts of the ship seemed to exist in 2 places at once, creating a ghostly double image that hurt the eyes to look at. "Impossible," whispered Admiral Velthar. One ship? They think one ship can fight my entire armada? But as the Leviathan rose fully out of the ocean, something in the alien admiral's mind felt wrong. The ship did not move like normal ships. It seemed to twist and bend through space in ways that should not be possible. Captain Kim Dae-ho sat in the command chair of the Leviathan and looked at the screens around him. 50,000 alien ships surrounded Earth like angry bees, but he was not afraid. For 5 years he had trained for this moment. "All systems ready, Captain," reported Navigation Officer Lee So-young. Her hands moved over controls that existed in 4 dimensions instead of 3. "Weapons charged and ready," said Weapons Specialist Park Jamin. His weapon systems were based on principles that even human scientists barely understood. "Dimensional shields active," announced Defense Coordinator Yoon Hae-jin. "We are ready for anything they can throw at us." Commander Ryu Tai-jun stood beside Kim Dae-ho and watched the alien fleet begin to move toward them. 50,000 ships against one. They must think we are crazy." "Maybe we are," said Kim Dae-ho with a smile. "But crazy has always worked for humans before." Admiral Velthar sent orders to his fleet through the mind link. "All ships destroy that vessel. Show these humans what happens when they try to fight the Vorthak Empire." 1,000 alien ships fired at once. Energy beams that could destroy planets streaked toward the Leviathan. The beams were so bright they lit up space like a second sun. Any normal ship would have been turned to dust instantly, but the energy beams passed right through the Leviathan like it was not there. "What?" Admiral Velthar stared at his screens in shock. "How is that possible?" The alien weapons had hit nothing but empty space. The Leviathan was still there, but somehow the attacks had gone through it without doing any damage. "Dimensional shields working perfectly," reported Yoon Hae-jin from the Leviathan's bridge. "Their weapons exist in normal space. We exist partially outside normal space. They cannot touch us." Kim Dae-ho leaned forward in his chair. "Now let us show them what human weapons can do. Fire the quantum torpedoes." Strange objects shot out from the Leviathan. They did not look like normal missiles. They seemed to exist in several places at once, creating trails of bent space behind them. The torpedoes moved toward the alien fleet in impossible patterns. The first torpedo hit a Vorthak battleship, but instead of exploding, something much stranger happened. The alien ship began to age rapidly. Its metal hull became old and rusty in seconds. Its engines failed as the metal became too weak to hold together. In less than a minute, the mighty warship crumbled into space dust. "Temporal weapons," explained Park Jamin to his crew. "We are not destroying their ships. We are making them experience 1,000 years of time in a few seconds." More quantum torpedoes hit more alien ships. Each one aged into nothing, leaving only clouds of ancient metal dust. The Vorthak fleet had never seen anything like it. "Admiral, our ships are being destroyed by some kind of time weapon," reported Commander Zekthor, panic creeping into his mind voice. But Admiral Velthar was more worried about something else. The panic in Zekthor's mind was spreading through the mind link to other ships. Fear was like a disease among the Vorthak, jumping from mind to mind faster than their ships could move. The Leviathan began to move toward the alien fleet, but it did not move like a normal ship. Navigation Officer Lee So-young used the quantum drive to make the ship exist in multiple places at the same time. To the aliens, it looked like there were suddenly 10 Leviathans attacking from different directions. "Which one is real?" screamed one alien captain into the mind link. "They are all real," answered another. "How can we fight something that is everywhere at once?" Weapons Specialist Park Jamin fired the dimensional cannons. These weapons shot energy beams that could turn corners and travel through folded space. The beams appeared inside alien ships without having to go through their shields first. Vorthak warships began exploding from the inside as the dimensional weapons found their targets. Admiral Velthar tried to organize his fleet, but the mind link was filling with fear and confusion. His perfectly disciplined ships began to move in different directions as individual captains panicked. "Hold formation," he shouted with his mind. "It is only one ship." But it was too late. The Leviathan moved through the alien fleet like a shark through a school of fish. Every few seconds, another Vorthak ship aged into dust or exploded from a dimensional attack. The aliens tried to surround the human ship, but it kept appearing in places where it should not be able to exist. Captain Kim Dae-ho watched the battle unfold around him. The alien ships were powerful, but they were designed to fight enemies that followed the normal rules of physics. The Leviathan followed no rules except the ones humans had written for themselves. "Sir, they are trying to retreat," reported Lee So-young from her navigation station. Kim Dae-ho could see it too. Some of the alien ships were backing away from the battle. Others were trying to regroup at a safe distance. The perfect Vorthak formation was breaking apart as fear spread through their shared minds. "Let some of them run," he said. "We want them to carry news of this battle back to their empire. We want every alien in the galaxy to know what happened here." Commander Ryu Taijun smiled as he watched alien ships flee in all directions. 5 years ago, they thought we were primitives who could barely fly to our own moon. Now look at them run. But the battle was not over. Admiral Velthar still had 40,000 ships left, and he was trying to rally them for another attack. The alien admiral cut off the mind-link connections to his most frightened captains and focused on the ones who were still brave enough to fight. "All remaining ships. Form attack formation 7, he ordered. "We will surround this demon ship and destroy it with concentrated fire." The remaining Vorthak ships moved into a tight formation around the Leviathan. They fired all their weapons at once, creating a ball of energy so bright it could be seen from Earth's surface. But again, most of the energy passed harmlessly through the dimensional shields. The few hits that connected did no real damage to the Leviathan's advanced armor. "Their weapons are useless against us," said Yoon Hae-jin. "But Captain, our own weapons are starting to heat up. We cannot keep firing the temporal cannons forever." Kim Dae-ho nodded. The Leviathan was powerful, but it was still just one ship. They needed to end this battle quickly before the aliens figured out new tactics. "Fire the reality wave," he ordered. Park Jae-min hesitated for a moment. The reality wave was the Leviathan's most dangerous weapon. Even the human scientists were not sure what it would do. "Sir, are you sure? We have never tested this in real combat." "Fire it," Kim Dae-ho said firmly. The Leviathan gathered energy from dimensions that most people could not even imagine. Space itself began to bend and twist around the ship. Then the reality wave shot out in all directions like a ripple in the fabric of the universe. When the wave hit the alien ships, they did not explode or age into dust. Instead, they simply stopped existing. One moment they were there, the next moment there was empty space. The reality wave had removed them from the universe entirely. In seconds, 20,000 Vorthak warships vanished, as if they had never been built. Admiral Velthar stared at his screens in horror. Half his fleet was gone, not destroyed, gone. His instruments could not detect any wreckage or energy signatures. The ships had been erased from reality itself. The panic in the alien mind link became a roar of terror. Thousands of Vorthak voices screamed in fear as they realized they were fighting something beyond their understanding. "Retreat," Admiral Velthar finally ordered. "All ships retreat. Get away from that monster." The remaining alien ships fled in all directions. Some jumped to hyperspace so quickly they damaged their own engines. Others simply flew away as fast as their ships could move. The mighty Vorthak Armada scattered like leaves in a hurricane. Captain Kim Dae-ho stood up from his command chair and looked around at his crew. They had done the impossible. One human ship had defeated 50,000 alien warships. "Send a message to Earth," he said. "Tell them the Leviathan has awakened and the aliens are running away." Around the galaxy, other alien races watched in amazement as news of the battle spread. The first Vorthak ships appeared at the edge of Earth's solar system like silver ghosts. There were only 50 of them, but each one was bigger than anything humans had ever built. They moved in perfect formation, their hulls reflecting the light from the sun. Admiral Cho Min-seok stood on the bridge of the battleship Seoul's Hope and watched the alien ships approach. He was a man who had fought in many wars, but he had never fought aliens before. His weathered face showed no fear, but inside his heart was beating fast. "How many ships do we have ready?" he asked his aide. 200 ships, sir. Our best ones. But compared to those alien ship..." The young officer did not finish his sentence. "I know," Admiral Cho said quietly. "They are much bigger than ours. But we are not trying to win this battle. We are trying to learn." On the hidden moon base, Captain Kim Dae-ho watched everything through his instruments. The alien ships were sending signals to each other, and Lieutenant Lee Junwoo was working hard to understand what they were saying. "They are talking about us like we are insects," Junwoo said, his face angry. "They think this will be easy. They are laughing at our ships." "Good," said Kim. "Let them think we are weak. The more they think they know about us, the less they actually know." Lieutenant Park Sora was recording everything. Every alien signal. Every movement of their ships, every piece of information that might help Earth survive. Her fingers moved quickly over her controls as data flowed across her screens. Commander Yoon Hae-jin sat in the pilot seat of the destroyer Incheon's Pride. His ship was small compared to the alien vessels, but it was fast and his crew knew how to fight. Around him, 200 human ships waited for orders. The alien ships stopped moving when they reached the outer planets. For 3 hours, nothing happened. Then a signal came from the largest alien ship. It was in perfect English. Primitive creatures of the planet Earth, we are the Vorthak Empire. We rule this galaxy. You will surrender now or we will destroy you. You have 1 hour to decide. Admiral Cho Min-seok spoke into his radio so all human ships could hear. This is Admiral Cho to all ships. Remember why we are here. We are not here to win. We are here to show these aliens that humans do not surrender. We are here to learn how they fight. And we are here to buy time for Earth. The hour passed. When no surrender came, the alien ships began to move forward. They came slowly, like they were taking a walk in a park. They did not think humans could hurt them. Admiral Velthar stood on his flagship and watched the human ships through his view screen. The human vessels looked like toys compared to his mighty warships. He sent his thoughts to his crew. Look at these pathetic creatures. They think their metal cans can fight our glorious ships. We will destroy them quickly and then take their planet. But when the battle started, something unexpected happened. The human ships did not fight like the aliens expected. Most races the Vorthak had conquered fought in neat lines and formations. They tried to be organized and logical. But the human ships flew in crazy patterns. They spun and twisted through space like they were dancing. They attacked from directions that made no sense. Commander Yoon Hae-jin led his destroyer in a wild charge straight at the biggest alien ship. His weapons were too small to really hurt it, but he fired everything he had. Then he spun his ship around and flew away in a zigzag pattern that confused the alien gunners. What are they doing? Admiral Velthar asked his officers. Why do they fight so strangely? The other alien ships were having the same problem. The humans would attack in groups, then scatter in all directions. They would hide behind asteroids and then pop out to fire their weapons. They would fly their ships upside down and sideways in ways that looked impossible. One human ship, commanded by Captain Bae Jun-hyuk, actually flew inside the energy shield of an alien ship and fired its weapons from the inside before escaping. No alien race had ever tried something so crazy. These humans fight without any order, complained Commander Zakthor. They have no discipline. How can we predict what they will do when they do not follow any rules? But slowly the alien ships began to win. They had better weapons and stronger armor. One by one, human ships were destroyed. Captain Lee So-young's cruiser was hit by an alien energy beam and exploded in a ball of fire. Commander Park Jae-min's destroyer lost its engines and drifted helplessly before another alien blast finished it. Commander Yoon Hae-jin watched his friends die and felt anger burn in his chest. But he also felt something else. Pride. Every human ship that died took longer to kill than the aliens expected. Every human pilot fought until the very end. None of them surrendered. When only 50 human ships were left, Admiral Cho gave the order to retreat. The surviving ships scattered in different directions, but they did not run away randomly. They led the alien ships on long chases through asteroid fields and around planets. Even in retreat, they were buying time and gathering information. Back on Earth, Dr. Kang Soo-bin studied the pieces of alien ships that had been shot off during the battle. She was a small woman with thick glasses who knew more about alien technology than anyone else on Earth. Look at this, she said to her assistant. Their weapons are very powerful, but they are designed to fight enemies who fight in organized groups. See how their targeting systems work? They predict where an enemy ship will go based on logical movement patterns. Her assistant leaned over to look at the alien computer parts. What does that mean? It means they have never fought an enemy like us before. Every race they conquered probably fought the same way, in neat formations with logical tactics. But humans do not fight that way. We are chaotic. We are unpredictable. And that confuses them. Dr. Kang picked up another piece of alien technology. And look at this communication device. They all think together like one big mind. That makes them very coordinated, but it also makes them think alike. They cannot understand how we think because we all think differently. Meanwhile, on his flagship, Admiral Velthar was reporting to Emperor Kethvar. The humans have been defeated, my Emperor. We destroyed most of their ships. Good, the Emperor's voice echoed in Velthar's mind. How long did it take? Velthar hesitated. 6 hours, my emperor. There was a long silence. 6 hours to defeat 200 primitive ships. Other races usually surrendered after seeing the Vorthak fleet. Those who fought were usually destroyed in minutes. These humans fought strangely, my emperor. They did not follow normal battle tactics. They were unpredictable. Emperor Kethvar felt a small worry in his mind, but he pushed it away. It does not matter. Send the demand for surrender to their planet. If they refuse, bring the full First Armada and crush them completely. The surrender demand was sent to every government on Earth. The message was simple. Surrender now and become slaves of the Vorthak Empire, or we will destroy your entire planet. The answer came back quickly from every nation on Earth. It was the same in every language. No. Captain Kim Dae-ho smiled when he heard the answer. On his screens, he could see more alien ships gathering at the edge of the solar system. Soon the full Vorthak Armada would come, 50,000 warships against one small planet. But deep under the Pacific Ocean, the Leviathan was almost ready. Dr. Oda-un and her team were working day and night to finish humanity's secret weapon. They had learned much from studying the alien technology Dr. Kang had recovered. We know how they think now, Dr. Kang told the assembled scientists and military leaders. They expect enemies to be logical and predictable. They have never faced a race that fights the way we do. And most importantly, they have never faced technology like what we are building. Admiral Cho Min-seok looked at the reports from the first battle. Many good people had died, but their sacrifice had not been wasted. Now Earth knew what they were facing. The aliens were powerful, but they were not unbeatable. How long until the main alien fleet arrives? He asked. 3 weeks, answered Captain Kim from his moon base. And how long until the Leviathan is ready? Dr. Oda-un looked up from her work plans. 2 weeks if we work without stopping. Admiral Cho nodded. Then we have 1 week to prepare for the biggest battle in human history. 1 week to get ready to fight 50,000 alien warships with one ship. Around the room, the faces of Earth's defenders showed fear, but also determination. They were about to face impossible odds, but they were human, and humans had always found a way to fight when everything seemed hopeless. The aliens thought they understood Earth now. They thought humans were just another weak race to be conquered. Soon they would learn how wrong they were. The silver ships moved through space like deadly arrows. Each one was longer than a city block and covered in smooth metal that shined like mirrors. There were thousands of them flying together in perfect lines. They had been flying this way for 3,000 years, bringing fear to every planet they found. Admiral Velthar stood on the bridge of his flagship and watched the stars pass by. His skin was pale blue and his eyes were solid black. Like all Vorthak, he could speak to other Vorthak with his mind without saying any words. This made them perfect soldiers. When one Vorthak thought of an attack plan, all the others knew it at the same time. Velthar was proud of his fleet. The First Armada had 50,000 warships. They had never lost a single battle. Every alien race they met either joined the Vorthak Empire or got destroyed. There was no other choice. Admiral, said Commander Zekthor, speaking into Velthar's mind, our scouts have found something new. Velthar turned to look at the big screen on his bridge. It showed a map of the galaxy with thousands of green dots. Each green dot was a planet that belonged to the Vorthak Empire. But now there was a small red dot at the edge of the map. What is this red dot? Velthar asked. It is a small blue planet in the outer area of the galaxy. Our scouts detected energy signals coming from it. The signals are weak, but they are there. Velthar made a sound like laughing, but colder. Another primitive race that thinks they can use technology. How many are there? The planet has about 8 billion creatures on it. They call themselves humans. They are small and weak. They have no telepathy and their technology is very basic. They still fight each other instead of working together. Perfect, said Velthar. The Emperor will be pleased. We can add 8 billion new slaves to our empire. Far away on the throne world of Nexus Prime, Emperor Kethvar sat on his crystal throne. The throne room was huge and made of black stone. Hundreds of Vorthak nobles bowed before him. Their thoughts all flowed into his mind like rivers flowing into an ocean. Kethvar was very old even for a Vorthak. He had ruled the empire for 800 years. His skin was darker blue than the others and his black eyes seemed to see everything. When he spoke, his voice echoed in the minds of every Vorthak in the galaxy. My children, he said without moving his lips. We have found another world to bring into our empire. This planet Earth will learn what all the others have learned. The Vorthak are the masters of the galaxy. We are the perfect race. All others exist only to serve us. The nobles sent waves of agreement through their shared thoughts. They remembered how their empire had grown. First, they had conquered their home system, then nearby systems, then whole sectors of the galaxy. Every race they met was weaker than them. The Vorthak had better weapons, better ships, and most importantly, they could think as one mind. Send Admiral Velthar, the Emperor commanded. Let him show these humans what happens to those who resist the Empire. Meanwhile, on the small blue planet Earth, Captain Kim Dae-ho sat in a chair deep underground on the moon. The hidden base was called Sejong Station, and very few people knew it existed. Kim was a tall man with short black hair and serious dark eyes. He wore the blue uniform of the Korean Space Navy. "Sir, we are getting strange signals again," said Lieutenant Park Sora. She was a young woman with quick fingers that danced over her computer controls. Her job was to listen to space and watch for anything unusual. Kim walked over to her station. The room was full of computers and screens that showed the area around Earth. Other people worked quietly at their stations. They all knew their job was very important, but they did not know how important. "Show me," Kim said. Sora pointed at her main screen. "These signals started 3 days ago. They are coming from very far away. The strange thing is they are not natural. Someone is making them." Kim felt cold fear in his stomach. For 2 years, people like him had been listening to space and watching for signs of alien life. Most people on Earth did not know that aliens existed, but the governments knew. They had been preparing. "Can you understand what the signals say?" Kim asked. "Some of it," said Lieutenant Lee Junwoo from another station. He was a thin man with glasses who was very good at understanding codes and languages. "I think they are talking about Earth. They use words that sound like conquest and slaves." Kim picked up a red phone that connected directly to military headquarters on Earth. "This is Captain Kim at Sejong Station. We need to talk to General Huang right away." Within minutes, General Huang's face appeared on the main screen. The old general looked tired but alert. "What do you have, Captain?" "Sir, the alien signals are getting stronger. We think they are planning to come to Earth. And from what we can understand, they are not coming to be friends." General Huang was quiet for a long moment. Then he said, "Captain, you and your team need to keep watching and listening. Record everything. We may not have much time." After the call ended, Kim looked around at his small team. They were good people who had volunteered for this secret job. They had left their families and friends to live on the moon and watch for aliens. Now the aliens were coming. "Sora, I want you to focus all our equipment on those signals. Learn everything you can. Junwoo, keep working on understanding their language. If we can know what they are planning, maybe we can help Earth get ready." Deep under the Pacific Ocean on Earth, machines were working. Huge robots moved pieces of metal and strange materials in patterns that would look like magic to most people. The project had been going on for 5 years. People from Korea, Japan, America, Europe, and many other countries had worked together to build something that had never been built before. They called it the Leviathan. Dr. Oh Da-eun stood on a platform overlooking the construction. She was a small woman with gray hair, but her mind was one of the smartest on Earth. She had helped design the Leviathan using ideas that most scientists said were impossible. "How much longer?" asked a voice behind her. She turned to see Admiral Cho Min-seok, the man in charge of all Earth's space defenses. He was a serious man who rarely smiled. 6 more months if everything goes well," Da-eun said. "Maybe less if we push harder." "We may not have 6 months," the Admiral said quietly. "Our listening posts are detecting alien ships moving toward our solar system. They will be here soon." Da-eun looked back at the huge shape taking form in the underwater construction bay. The Leviathan was already 10 kilometers long, but it was not finished. It needed its special weapons and its quantum drive systems. "Then we will work faster," she said. "We have to. If the Leviathan is not ready when they arrive, Earth will fall." High above them, ordinary people went about their normal lives. They went to work, played with their children, and worried about normal things like money and weather. They did not know that alien warships were coming to make them slaves. They did not know that a small group of people were working day and night to save them. But the Vorthak were coming, and they had never lost a battle. Admiral Velthar was already planning how he would divide up the humans among his ships. Emperor Kethvar was already thinking about what Earth's resources would add to his empire. Neither of them knew about the Leviathan. Neither of them understood what humans could do when they worked together. Soon they would learn. The sky above Earth turned dark with alien ships. 50,000 Vorthak warships spread across space like a silver cloud of death. Each ship was bigger than a mountain, and their weapons could destroy entire cities with one shot. Admiral Velthar stood on his flagship and looked down at the small blue planet below. "This time will be different," he told his officers. "No more games. We will destroy every human ship, then burn their cities until they beg for mercy." But something strange was happening on Earth. The human cities were emptying out. Millions of people were leaving the big cities and going to underground shelters in the mountains and deserts. Space stations around Earth went dark and silent. The few remaining human ships seemed to scatter in all directions like frightened birds. "They are running away," laughed Commander Zekthor. "Look how they panic. They know they cannot fight us." Admiral Velthar nodded, but something felt wrong. The humans had fought bravely before. Why were they acting so scared now? His mind link picked up worried thoughts from other Vorthak commanders. They were all thinking the same thing. This felt too easy. Captain Bae Jun Hyuk sat in a hidden bunker deep under the mountains of Korea. Around him, dozens of computer screens showed false information being sent to the alien ships. His job was to make the aliens think humans were afraid and hopeless. "Send another fake message about food shortages," he told his team, "and make sure they hear our secret communications about the government falling apart." Lieutenant Yu Minho typed quickly at his computer. "Sir, they are picking up our false signals. They think our military is in chaos and our leaders are fighting each other." "Perfect," said Bae Jun Hyuk. "The more confident they feel, the less careful they will be." But while the aliens listened to fake messages about human panic, the real work was happening in secret. Deep under the Pacific Ocean, Dr. Oh Da-yun watched as the final pieces of the Leviathan were put into place. The massive ship was like nothing ever built before. The Leviathan was 10 kilometers long and shaped like a giant sea creature from ancient legends. Its hull was made from materials that did not exist in nature, metals that could bend space and time. Inside, thousands of people from every country on Earth worked together to prepare humanity's greatest weapon. "Quantum drive systems are online," reported engineer Kim Tae-woo. "Temporal weapon arrays are charged. Dimensional shields are ready." Dr. Oh Da-un smiled for the first time in months. "How long until we can surface?" 6 hours, answered Chief Engineer Park Soo-jin. "All systems will be ready in 6 hours." The technology inside the Leviathan was beyond anything the Vorthak had ever seen. While the aliens had spent thousands of years making their weapons bigger and stronger, humans had found a completely different path. They had learned to bend the rules of physics itself. The quantum drive let the ship exist in multiple places at the same time. The temporal weapons could make enemy ships age hundreds of years in seconds. The dimensional shields could make attacks pass right through the ship like it was not there. Commander Ryu Taijun walked through the corridors of the Leviathan and looked at his crew. There were 500 people on the ship, and they came from every nation on Earth. Korean engineers worked next to American scientists. Japanese pilots sat with Russian gunners. African doctors worked with European technicians. "Are you ready?" he asked Captain Kim Dae-ho, who had come down from the moon base to help command the ship. Kim Dae-ho looked out through a window at the dark water above them. Soon they would rise to the surface and face 50,000 alien warships with just one ship. "We have trained for this for 5 years. Our people are ready. The question is, are the aliens ready for us?" Above the ocean, Admiral Velthar was growing impatient. The humans had been hiding for 3 days. His ships had found and destroyed a few small human vessels, but most of the human fleet seemed to have vanished. "Where are they hiding?" he asked his officers. "Scan every asteroid, every moon, every planet. Find their ships," but the Vorthak scanners could not find what they were looking for. Most of Earth's military ships were hidden in deep space, far from the battle zone. Others were disguised as space junk or hidden inside asteroids. The humans were not planning to fight a normal space battle. Emperor Kethvar's voice echoed in Velthar's mind from across the galaxy. "Why is this taking so long? You have 50,000 ships against one primitive planet. The humans are hiding, my Emperor, but we will find them. When we do, we will crush them all at once. You had better. The whole galaxy is watching. If we look weak, other races might think they can rebel against us. Velthar knew this was true. News of the human resistance was already spreading to other worlds. Some planets that had been conquered by the Vorthak were starting to whisper about freedom. The Empire needed to destroy Earth quickly and completely to show that resistance was hopeless. On Earth, Lieutenant Park Sora was monitoring alien communications from a secret base in the Korean mountains. The aliens were getting frustrated and angry. Their perfect formation was starting to spread out as they searched for human ships. "They are breaking their formation," she reported to Admiral Cho Min-seok. "Some ships are moving away from the main fleet to search for us." Admiral Cho smiled. "Good. The more spread out they are, the better our plan will work." Dr. Kang Subin had spent days studying the alien technology recovered from the first battle. Now she understood exactly how the Vorthak mind link worked. It was their greatest strength, but it could also be their weakness. When one of them panics, they all feel it, she explained to the other scientists. Their shared mind makes them strong when they are winning, but if something scares them badly enough, the fear spreads to all of them. "Like a virus," said Dr. Lee Hyun-woo, a young scientist who specialized in alien psychology. "Exactly like a virus, and we are about to give them something to be very scared of." The aliens were also picking up human communications that seemed to be about something called the Leviathan, but the messages were broken and unclear. Some talked about it like it was a ship. Others made it sound like a weapon. A few described it as some kind of sea monster from human mythology. Commander Zekthor brought these messages to Admiral Velthar. "Should we be worried about this Leviathan thing?" Velthar looked at the scattered pieces of information. "It sounds like desperate humans telling stories to make themselves feel better. How can one ship or weapon defeat our entire armada? It is impossible." But deep in his mind, Velthar felt a small doubt. The humans had surprised them before with their strange fighting tactics. What if they had one more surprise waiting? 6 kilometers under the Pacific Ocean, the Leviathan was finally complete. Captain Kim Dae-ho sat in the command chair and looked around at the bridge. It did not look like the bridge of a normal spaceship. Instead of flat screens, there were holographic displays that showed space in 3 dimensions. Instead of simple controls, there were quantum interfaces that responded to thought as much as touch. "All stations report ready," announced Navigation Officer Lee So-young. She was one of the few people who could pilot a ship that existed in multiple dimensions at the same time. "Weapon systems are online," reported weapons specialist Park Jae-min. His weapons could fire in directions that did not exist in normal space. "Dimensional shields are active," said Defense Coordinator Yoon Hae-jin, who had survived the first battle and volunteered for this mission. Commander Ryu Tae-jun stood beside Kim Dae-ho and looked at the countdown clock. 5 minutes until we surface. Once we start this, there is no going back." Kim Dae-ho nodded. "Send the signal to all human forces. Tell them the Leviathan is rising." Around the world, in hidden bunkers and secret bases, humans received the message they had been waiting for. Admiral Cho Min-seok felt his heart beat faster. Captain Bae Jun-hyuk stopped sending false signals and started preparing real battle plans. Dr. Kang Subin activated the recording equipment that would document humanity's greatest moment. Above them, 50,000 alien warships waited like hungry wolves. Admiral Velthar was confident that victory was certain. Emperor Kethavar expected news of Earth's destruction within hours. The entire Vorthak Empire believed that one more primitive planet was about to fall. None of them knew that in 5 minutes, something would rise from the depths of Earth's ocean that would change the galaxy forever. The Leviathan was awakening, and with it the true power of humanity was about to be revealed. The aliens thought they had come to conquer another weak race. Instead, they were about to discover that Earth's children had learned to break the laws of physics themselves. The universe was about to see what happened when human creativity met impossible odds. In the depths of the Pacific, the Leviathan began to rise.